Paul Reed for president 2028.
I told you that man's a legend. I told you that man's a legend, bro.
This is Paul Reed's world. We're all just living in it.
B-ball Paul. You don't get that
B-ball
name.
Paul.
You don't get that name unless you're nice.
How do you get that name? He's named after the sport.
After the sport, because you're nice. When you named after the sport, you gotta be nice in that sport, bro.
You gotta be really nice. Like if I went to Mechanic Mike, I know Mechanic Mike.
You know Mechanic Mike go
Mechanic Mike is fixing my car,
the heck out the car. He gonna mechanic the heck out the car. You know what I mean?
Accountant Jim? Oh, my tax return?
You know what I mean? He got you. He got you. He got you.
The Pistons beat the Raptors 113-95. Let's go to the box score. Paul Reed is James Naismith reincarnated. Cade Cunningham is my MVP favorite right now, and Duncan Robinson remains undefeated for the Raptors. Emmanuel quickly had 18-5. Scottie Barnes 17-7-5. RJ Barrett 16 points. Kwab, I'm just gonna be honest with you, man. These two teams look like they're on two different stratospheres. It just is what it is. The Raptors are a nice story. The Raptors have a better record than most people anticipated. Kwab and I might do like a report card at the All-Star break, give teams grades. We did it last year on a live stream. We might do it again. So be on the lookout for that. And to me, they would get a high grade just because of their expectations. But when it comes to playing with the big boys like the Pistons, I don't think they're even remotely close to being a contender or being taken seriously as contenders. They're a nice story. It's cute. But you see a team like the Pistons play today, and they just looked like they were playing different sports. They had the plan to come out doubling Cade Cunningham whenever Paul Reed was the screener. And this is like actually being serious now. Paul Reed just absolutely destroyed him in the first quarter.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
You trap Cade Cunningham. Paul Reed gets the ball at the top of the key, and he's driving to the hoop and he's scoring the basketball. Anytime. And if they didn't do that, he was rolling and he was dunking the basketball off of pick and roll. He was active on the boards. He was active defensively. Cade Cunningham, again, a steadying presence. And anytime Brandon Ingram got the ball in the half court, they pretty much just doubled him. They said, someone else is going to beat us. Brandon Ingram is not going to beat us today. Scottie Barnes, I thought, played well in the first quarter. When he left the game, the offense just totally went downhill, and they didn't look like a professional basketball team at times. The Raptors, to me, they need better guard play. I love Emmanuel quickly. He was one of my favorite Knicks when he was a Knick, and I thought he played okay today, but they don't really get into the teeth of any defense. Now, granted, you're playing the Detroit Pistons today, who is the best defense in the league, so, that's not like it's a failure to do so.
Yeah.
But you look at the shots the Pistons were getting, when this game was a game, and they were easy shots, and they were, turning you over and getting fast break points. Duncan Robinson's another one who I mentioned here, underrated. He's underrated. You know what he does from the three-point line, but he's also added an element to his game where he is scoring in the paint, driving the basketball, and defensively, man, like blocking shots, getting steals. Yeah. Like every time I've watched Duncan Robinson play, I've walked away like, oh, he's better defensively than I remember. This team just hand in hand, feeling it going into the All-Star break. And they just look like a team on a different level. Like that's all I could really say about this game. We highlighted this game because we do want to give the Raptors some love. We want to make sure we highlight some Raptor games. And every time we do so, if I'm just being completely honest with you, they lose.
Yeah, so we might be bad luck.
I don't think we're bad luck. I just think that, our channel, we find games, like for instance, like the Pistons-Raptors to us was the sexiest game of the schedule. And whenever the Raptors get that opportunity to play a team, like the Knicks or like the Thunder, whatever, we didn't do the Thunder game. Ironically, that's the game the Raptors did win.
See?
Yeah. But, I think this is like the sixth Raptor game we've done, and they've lost every single one of them except for one.
Yeah.
And I just think they're I just don't think they're there yet. And that's fine. It's a good year for the Raptors, but I think today just showed what a contender looks like and what a nice team that could make the playoffs looks like.
I think watching this game, it highlighted how serious the Pistons need to be taken. With a team that the suspensions of their big men finally came down, so we know they're going to be missing Duran for another game, and then Isaiah Stewart for six total games, so 6 more. So like going into this game, you're wondering how are their Pistons gonna come out of this game? Is it gonna be like subtle? How are they gonna figure it out, especially not having the size in their front line, apart from B-Ball Paul, and they just dominated the whole game. It just felt like from start to finish they were the better team. Like you said, they looked like they were classes above the Raptors. Cade was Cade, man, like controlling the game at his own pace as he always does. Having Paul Reed as your third string big man is unfair. Like, just you see how talented he is, how he's able to navigate through the double teams. He finishes consistently. He also has the ability to stretch out the floor with his 3-point shooting. I know he only went 1 for 2 today, but he's more than a capable shooter. But with the Pistons, it's been their defense. Their defense has always been, I guess you say legit, right? People want to say they play I guess an aggressive type defense. But if you, and we've discussed this before, if you have a team that's all on one accord in the style they want to play, the refs are going to allow it, whatever it is. Like, if they're going to come out and play an aggressive defense or a playoff type defense, there's a type of defense that's going to be played in the playoffs regardless, where you're going to be allowed to bump, you're going to be allowed to just show hands and all this. And the Pistons do a great job just being up on the line every time. Like you highlighted, Duncan Robinson's just being a factor on the defensive side, even though he's just known as a shooter. But being able to block shots and get steals. Sar Thompson, what he's going to bring on the defensive side. And then we also know how good the Pistons bench has been when they come in and bring energy. Like with Javonte Green, Karis LeVert. I know there are some Pistons fans who have negative stuff to say about Karis. I'm a Karis fan. I'm sorry. I'll always be a Karis fan. Us a Nets fan. Like, I'll always be a Karis fan. So he's been playing great. And, of course, Dennis Jenkins, a well-deserved full contract, like how he's been playing. So it was just a dominating performance by the Pistons, man. And it's great to see them still being like this team without two of their biggest pieces. That's very impressive to watch. With the Raptors, we were excited to watch a Raptors game just because this is one of the first times they have their full starting lineup with Jakob Poeltl back and all that. So, like, we want to see what this team looks like because, as you said, they have been able to play way above what people thought they were going to be. And they looked rough out there, man. A lot of their just struggles came to light this game, man. I think with the lineup they put out there, there's not a lot of 3-point shooting. They don't spread out the floor that well. That's been a big factor. They do play really well with RJ. So that was I was hoping for a close game, but it wasn't even like that. We're both fans of Jamal Shed. We think he's fantastic as a guard.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this before in one of our recaps. We like the lineup with him and Quickly on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that 2-guard lineup. But yeah, it was you playing against a team like the Pistons, man. You're gonna see the perimeter defense is on point, the interior defense is on point, and if you're not generating enough offense, especially when Scottie's not on the floor, like this is going to be the end result.
Yeah, and the Pistons shot 41% from three.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not something the Pistons typically do. They're not at the top of the league of shooting threes. They had 17 offensive rebounds. The turnover battle was 16 to 15, so it wasn't like the Pistons and significantly took care of the ball more than the Raptors. But when the Raptors turned the ball over, and I don't have the stat in front of me, the Pistons were other way scoring the basketball. I mean, I can think of like 3 plays off the top of my head that were like open dunks and open layups on the other end of the court. For me, again, and it's one of those things that I look for as a marker when I'm deciding who I'm going to pick for a championship or who I trust going far into the playoffs. And that's a team that has an identity and everybody on the team knows their role. And I can't think of many teams. You have the Pistons, you have the Thunder, you have the Nuggets, in my opinion, and maybe the Spurs, where I'm confident everyone's like, okay, I know my role. I'm cool with my role. I'm not stepping outside of my role. And this team has an identity. And the Pistons and everybody in the Eastern Conference, I think, has the most solid identity. They know who they are. They're the best defensive team in the league on top of that, too. And they have a superstar in Cade Cunningham, who, in my opinion, he's the MVP right now. I think, I think SGA was probably the favorite in the beginning of the season just because the historic start they got off to. Now he's hurt, and even though he hasn't, even though he just started missing games, the Thunder kind of came back down to earth. The Pistons are now the 1 seed. It looks like, knock on wood if you're a Pistons fan, they will probably end up being the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Cade plays a very efficient game. He gets everybody involved. He's a leader. For me, I don't know what the odds look like, but for me, he's my favorite right now.
Yeah.
And that I think that's the most impressive part with the Pistons. It's like 2 years ago, this team was like one of the worst franchises in the league, if not the worst franchise in the league. And now all of a sudden, JB Bickerstaff has made it so they have an identity, they have a star, and they have all the players you need to fill that identity and every role that you need to win an NBA championship. It's very impressive. They're a very impressive team, and today I think it was just glaringly obvious how much of a different stratosphere they're on compared to a team like Toronto, who they might
Yeah.
see in the playoffs. We don't even know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And also like to highlight that getting just 9 points from Kevin Herter, like that your draft.
He's still
Yeah,
working his
but
way in.
but
Yeah.
that was the trade deadline acquisition, and that's he's still working. But just to have, to me, I always say this: just having him on the floor opens up your offense, right? Because the
Yeah.
potential of him being a knockdown shooter opens up your offense a little more. Because that's another player you can't leave. Like you give the same respect to a Duncan Robinson that you probably end up giving him. So
Yeah.
that opens up your offense in terms of if you're running pick and rolls to, like, if you're not an empty side but maybe a one side pick and roll where he's the one spot up on that side that defender can't really shade over. Like little things like that will end up making them more effective. And like you said, he's still working his way because he's relatively new. But games like this is like to see them come out, especially after what happened with the Hornets and them, you losing two very important pieces of your team for extended amount of time. Like to see them still come out and still be this effective team on both sides of the ball is very, very impressive, man. And I agree with you. Cade feels like he is the MVP this year. All things considered, man. They just have to keep rolling, man. They're fun to watch, man. The Pistons are very fun to watch. It's a young team
Yeah.
that does all these things right, and they play so hard on both ends of the ball.
All right. Well, the Pistons beat the Raptors 113-95. They go into the All-Star break with 40 wins. Congratulations to the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Kwab and I will be back for power rankings. I know it's the All-Star break. We're going to try to bring you content. Thinking about starting to do live shows as well as full episodes. That's something that we know the channel has been missing, and we're trying to find a way to address that where people actually watch our live episodes. So stay tuned for more of that. Dime bag segment as well. So drop a comment below. We'll be taking our favorite comments for the past 2 weeks and also be doing that. So make sure you do all that, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow everywhere at the Dime NBA. I'm Josh. He's Kwab. We'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Dime. Peace.
Yes, sir.